Well, salutations, kindred spirits, greetings, and welcome to another weekly Wednesday magic lesson. And yeah, you guessed it, today we're talking cards, card technique, card control in particular, although I do have a couple tricks for you at the end of this video. Stay tuned for that. But let me mention this. This discussion was spawned from last Sunday's session. And if you're not familiar, let me tell you, on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock Central, I do a live session. This is intended for my members. So this is a member event, be it a $1 fan level, or if you're a member, by the way, if you're a $5 member, the $4.99 level, the Conjurer level, I dropped a tutorial yesterday for you guys, the plastic surgery, one of my all-time favorite routines, my 3-card Monty routine where the card shrinks. I hope you enjoy that. It's waiting for you now. And of course, the Conjurer Plus levels, you guys for $19.99, the $20 level, you get all that. And of course, your live session is waiting to be booked. Once a month, you get an hour live on live. That's what I offer for that. So there's my capitalism segment of the show. Now let's talk about what we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about the depth illusion. Yeah, the depth illusion. This is a concept. Let me make sure I get this right. This concept was introduced to card magic by Edward Victor. The depth illusion has actually been involved with magic for many moons, but as it applies to card magic, Edward Victor introduced this concept of burying cards at a depth in the deck that is not actually happening. Now, this technique was refined by Di Vernon and then later super refined by Ed Marlowe. And a lot of the things I'm going to teach you today are from specifically John Rockerbomber's Full Tilt book. But Marlowe released a book called Tilt, and that name kind of stuck with this move. Tilt applies the Edward Victor depth illusion, and it's exactly that we're going to take a look at right now. I like to pan you down a little bit so you can get some better views, and hey, we'll just do that now. Let's pan it down. All right, so let's take a look at this thing, and to do that, let's get a target card. Here, we'll use the Ace of Spades. Something you can focus on for the demonstration, and let me demonstrate it now, as the ace apparently goes about 27 from the top of the deck, 27-ish, until I need it second from the top, and it comes right back. And this is the Daryl Martinez handling of Tilt. It's called Convincing Tilt. It uses an opening deck action to sell the fact that that card is going into the pack, but it's actually going second from the top. Going to explain how to do that, but first let's discuss the basics first. The Edward Victor depth illusion, as mentioned, is an illusion of depth created by raising the uppermost card, or you can actually do 2 or 3, you can do any number of cards for this illusion, but for this explanation, raising the uppermost card to create an illusion of depth when the card, when your selected card is inserted below it. So this card looks like it's going into the depths of the pack, but in reality it's just going below the top card. This is Tilt, or the depth illusion. That's the depth illusion in its basic form. There are some great convincers to use with this, and I'll show a few of them now. First and foremost, I think a one-handed tilt setup is invaluable. I'll give you guys a good view on this in a second, but I'm basically getting a pinky break, holding that with my third, with really all my fingers here, and then using my thumb to apply some pressure as that inner end pops up and allows me to obtain that tilt break one-handed. Again, I'll give you a look at that from behind. Just a second. But now, the convincer, the first one I want to talk about, I think this was Howie Schwartzman's, and this is the center push-out. So as you come to push the card into that depth, into that tilt opening, bend this card in your hand slightly and then hit it in the middle of the deck. That will allow you to jam some cards out from the center. Do that and then come into your tilt break. This sells the fact that it's going into that center area, but again, indeed, it's just going beneath that top card. So that is the Howie Schwartzman center push out convincer. Do that and then come back and go into the tilt break. Along with that, or used separately, you can do this. This is a devious little thing. You start by presetting a card Injogged. So that's done ahead of time, and then you establish your tilt brake. So from the front, everything looks copacetic, right? This just looks like you're holding a deck of cards, but from the rear, I have a card sticking out, and I'm holding a tilt brake. So I've got double deceptions going on from the back. What this means is that I can display my selected card. You can still do that center insertion if you want. Push the card in, actually push it flush, but right as you do so, turn to the side to expose the Injog card you preset, and then give your spectators that final view of you pushing that card flush. It's really a nice deception that sells the illusion of that card going into the middle of the deck. So that is a couple of simple convincers you can use. Now let's take a behind the scenes view, and let me show you how I get into and employ the Daryl convincing tilt actions. Let's do it. All right, here's your exposed view for the one-handed tilt setup and the Daryl convincing tilt action. So one-handed tilt begins with a pinky break under your required number of cards. As usual, I'm going to recommend the pinky count here. Regardless of how you do it, you'll need that break. It's kind of transferred to the third finger, although all the fingers on the left hand, the 3 fingers on the right side, support this break as the thumb moves to the outer left corner and it gently kind of pushes upwards and towards the fingers. This is going to apply tension to the back left corner, which is allowed to pop up and off the thumb base, and that will put you in the tilt position. So once again, establish your pinky break, move it to the fingers, apply pressure with the thumb, a little upward and pressure towards the finger. You can pop that corner up to form your one-handed tilt. Get ready. And we're now in position to do that Daryl convincing tilt action, just maintaining the pressure with your left thumb towards the fingertips and then lifting up about half the deck in that position. This is the Daryl Martinez convincing tilt. And note that the card will be inserted, so I'll use that card as shade first of all when I'm developing the break actions. As you go to insert it, that's when the thumb lifts up that break. The card travels in as the hand closes that break. Push the card flush and then allow the top card to coalesce. And that's how you do the Daryl convincing control. All right, before we get into the trick applications, I want to briefly discuss the double lift, in particular the Di Vernon double lift. This is by request from one of my subscribers. Commonly, when you do a tilt application or tilt move, you're going to be in a situation where you want to follow up with a double turnover. I'm actually turning over 2 cards as one, and this is the Di Vernon technique that we'll be discussing. As with most double lifts, you begin with a break, a little finger break, and I'll continue to endorse the pinky break to do these actions. So however you do it, get a little break. Your third finger is going to come into play for this Di Vernon technique. It applies pressure towards the thumb base, so it actually starts to warp the card. It pushes in and bends it slightly. The thumb meets the third finger at the right edge of the deck, and then you'll extend the thumb and the third finger simultaneously. It's this action. This is the Di Vernon push-off action. I don't get a big push-off, just a little bit, but it's enough to insinuate naturalness. And just a note on the follow-up here, after I do that double push-off, I pinch it at the right side, drag, and then I turn the double out jog. So it's out jogged about, I don't know, 1/4 of its length off the front of the deck. This allows my forefinger to push down as it squares up the card. It pushes down so I can reclaim that break at the right side, and that sets me up for a subsequent 2-card turnover. So again, we'll often use the double lift following the tilt. So here's the tilt, the convincing tilt. We get our break, we establish a little pressure with the third finger, the thumb meets it, both fingers extend, turn the card over out jogged, pull down with your forefinger to reestablish the break at the inner end, and then you can repeat that double lift procedure. That's the Di Vernon double lift. Learn it, it'll serve you well. All right, lastly here, let's talk about a couple trick applications. The first one will be a simple transposition. I don't think this is the best trick, but it's a good application to practice. And you can perform it, of course, but let me show it to you. Here's the Ace of Spades, which goes into the reversed into the center of the deck. The trick is this: the queen is going to change places with the ace. Your job is to see if you can catch when that happens. And that's two cards changing places. There's the ace, there's the queen, and that's the tilt KM transposition. So this uses the KM move with reverse fingering action, which is complex to read about, but I'll describe it to you. So you start with two cards atop the deck in tilt position. There they are at the back. I've got that depth illusion ready to go. So as I show the ace and apparently bury it into the center of the deck, it's actually going second from the top. I do obtain a break under those two cards and execute the push off to the right. This shows the queen as it should be, right? I mean, that's there, but you do the double push off. Here's the KM move. The hands come up together simultaneously. So the left hand revolves the deck face down as the right hand revolves the queen face up. As those two packets kiss, you push the queen onto the face of the pack and then flick the face down card with your thumb and place it to the table. The idea here is to get the illusion that that queen is going to the table. This is the KM move with reverse fingering action. So do your push off technique, pinch it at the left side, move both hands in reverse actions, the left down as the right hand moves up, kiss that card onto the face of the packet, and then thumb the face down card, flick the face down card with your thumb. Do not turn this hand face up. It needs to stay face down. And then to conceal that face down card, you immediately continue either with a cut, or I like to do a brief overhand shuffle. That will centralize the Queen of Hearts, which everyone assumes to be on the table, and that's an effective, impromptu, no dupe, two-card transposition. As noted, it's a fun sequence just to practice the techniques, if nothing else. If you want a really good effect with tilt, you'll want to get yourself some of these. Get a Post-it note. This is a Ben Harris idea. Let me rephrase that. It is a Ben Harris idea, but this was David Harkey's application of a Ben Harris idea. So you get a card with a Post-it note in it. And this is an ambitious card phase. Ambitious card is when the card is placed into the middle of the deck and then it rises to the top. And this Post-it note allows your audience to see exactly when that card rises 100% right to the top of the deck. There it is, the Ace of Spades with the Post-it note on it. So this I used a little extra deception here. I snuck in a double backer, which I had atop of the deck here. So if you want to know where the sneaky business happened, I had the Post-it notes on the case. As I reached for the card box, I added the double backer to the top of the deck. As I peeled off a Post-it pad, we'll just use this one. And so now I secretly added there. That's the ruse. So to do this effect, you get the Post-it note stuck onto your ambitious card. As you display it, get your pinky break under the top card, get that one-handed tilt setup going. So your audience sees you apparently bury this card, and they think they see it in situations sticking out from the Post-it note. So now as you just gently release your grip on that tilt situation, you get this visual rise of the Post-it coming right to the top. You then get a very easy double lift. If you just pick up at the Post-it, you get the automatic break, and because that's a double backer, you get a clean. You don't have to use a double backer for this. You can do the KM move again, but this is the cleanest way to do it. And that is a very little scene application from both Ben Harris, and this is in particular David Harkey's Wafting Up. Again, both from this wonderful compilation of John Rockerbomber's Full Tilt and Devilish Miracle. Alright, one more trick to show you here that uses tilt, and yeah, I've switched decks, you'll see why in a minute. Note, this is a Paul Harris trick. It was the trick that introduced me to tilt many moons ago. It's a version of the ambitious card, and again, if you're not familiar, the ambitious card is when a card is placed into the deck and you push the elevator button to elevate it right to the top of the pack. So that came, let me do it again for you, all the way to the bottom this time. Watch the 3 of diamonds, I put it on the bottom. We're going to push the elevator button right on the top, and once again it works its way through all the stories climbing right. One last time, we'll do it face up Well, maybe not. Let me put it in there. We'll do it face up, but not right on the face. That's bad for the eyes. Second from the face. Watch as the 3 jumps right to, yep, second from the face. And there is one more way. There is one more way you can do this that's super impressive, and that's if you put the card into your pocket. So it's going to jump from my pocket. It's going to land back in the deck. It'll jump wherever you cut. You ask your spectator to cut the deck. When they go to cut it, they're going to discover that the deck is a solid block. Yeah, this is a solid block of paper that's been glued together, and this is Paul Harris's Solid Deception finish. Now, hey y'all, I'm not going to explain the Solid Deception routine. This is a Paul Harris classic that deserves your study and attention. I recommend the Art of Astonishment books to learn this thing, or maybe his early Stars of Magic series. But if you keep in mind you have a solid deck glued together, and that this thing employs tilt along with the world's easiest double lift, if you remember those 2 things, you'll probably be able to put this to work. And that is Paul Harris's Solid Deception trick. You don't get a much better finish than that for a card trick, and I can highly recommend that for your attention and study. Go get busy on that thing. And that's going to bring us to the end of this weekly Wednesday magic lesson. I hope you've learned something. Maybe you learned what tilt is, or maybe you already knew tilt and perhaps picked up a couple of extra convincers, or maybe a trick you can add to your bag of tricks. I certainly hope so. And hey, if I can be of any assistance in learning this, I'm always waiting for you in the comments. Drop me a question. I'm happy to help. I'll sign off once again with thanking you guys. Thanks for your time, your attention, your energy. It's appreciated. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.